title of this is how I first heard about the game and then how I tried pickup for the first time and it was a horrible crash and burn. So, originally, I got divorced and I started on this self-help, self-improvement journey already, and I think that was like what put me on the correct path. I wasn't a guy who got into pickup just to get laid. Wasn't trying to just hook up with chicks. I'd already been married. I already had some success, and I was trying to like get over that and move past it and master this area of my life for the first time. So I was going out and trying to talk to girls. I was trying to step out of my comfort zone, but I didn't have a good roadmap. And I was stumbling through it. I was Googling. I was reading advice columns, and I came across like a Doc Love uh, dude, Doc Love, who like wrote for Ask Men, and then he got the book. And I remember a buddy had really wanted it, so we went like halfsies on it. And there was some good stuff in there. It was about being like a challenge and stuff, but I never thought it like was really phrased well in a way that resonated, that made sense to me. So I didn't really feel like there was a big difference. I remember I went on a date with a girl that I dated years ago, and in that book it talked about like asking questions and like listening to them. And so I remember I went on a date with her, and I was like, oh, let's just test this theory. And I didn't ask like any question, or excuse me, I didn't talk at all. I just kept asking questions and letting her talk. And I remember afterwards, like we went and got food. My food was all gone. Hers hadn't even been touched yet. She talked the entire meal. And afterwards, and she had to get a to-go box. I'm dropping her off. And afterwards, she's like, oh my God, this is like the best date I had ever been on. And I remember thinking, like, well, of course, like you didn't stop talking the whole time. So that was something that I had read. I was like, oh, let's try it. But it wasn't fun. It made me like not have a good time on the date. So I didn't think that that was really helpful. So, anyways, I'm just kind of stumbling along trying to figure things out. And one night I go out to this beer garden, like kind of like chill hipstery spot, Casey Moore's Oyster House. And anyone who's ever done training with me, where we go out and field at night, like for my old one-on-ones and boot camps, we always hit there. And when I was doing boot camps, like we'd always eat one of our meals there before we started the night out because it was like a special spot for us. So I was out there with my friends, and you know what? They kind of weren't even really my friends. They were my friends, one of my best friends, and he had moved away, and like we had talked about all hanging out because we'd all get together because of him, but we didn't really kind of hang out too much still. But they invited me out, and I was trying to step out of my comfort zone and do more stuff, and so I ended up going out, and we went to Casey Moore's, and I'm sitting there with my friends, and I'd already like had some luck. I'd already like got waitresses numbers. I already looked cool a couple times because like I was flirting with the waitress, and like I didn't even ask, and like the bill comes and her numbers like written on a piece of paper with it. And so that had already happened around some of my friends and my friends' friends a few times. So, anyways, I'm just adding that part because it'll make sense in a second for the story. One of the guys in the group who is, I mean, AFC as it gets, angry AFC, angry virgin chip on his shoulder, which came out later a lot, but he was always kind of like that. And I mean, just so AFC. I remember in high school once he got like hit by a car because he was a valet, like hurt his knee, hurt his hip, something. He's in this whole leg brace, and this one girl at our school was having a party, and he really, really liked her. He's like, oh, I got to come there for it. And then he still showed up and went there. That got out of the hospital, had a leg brace on, went to the party, and we were walking in, and he's like in the group, and he's like, hey, so and so, I didn't want to miss it. I even got hit by a car, but I'm still coming to your party. And she's like, okay, yeah, cool, it's good to see you. Didn't care at all. But in his mind, that was going to be some big like magical moment or something. So I remember just it was so cringe. So he was one of the guys in the group. Didn't really like him. And he got up and started talking to like two flight attendants that were sitting at the table behind us. And they start laughing and they go, oh, you're so fun. You should come sit with us. And I remember seeing this and I was like, what the F? Like, how the hell did that happen? Because like that I had said, I think maybe I'd said or just thought it. I was like, that would have been hard for me if I'd had a few drinks to like go over there and try to just do what he did. I was like, whoa, where'd that come from? Because this guy's angry AFC. And I'm sitting there with the other guys, and one of the other guys left, and one of the other dudes there at the table is also like early 20s, virgin. He broke the rule. He had told me about this book, The Game. He goes, "Oh, there's this book, The Game. You got to read it." One of the other guys in the group had got the book. He read it. He shared it with the group, and then he told them, "Hey, no one tell Grush, my last name. No one tell Grush about the book because he already gets chicks. Like if he gets this, none of us will stand a chance." So he told me, like, I heard that. He's like, later from the guy. He later became my wing. So it was funny. But I heard later that like he told them specifically not to tell me about it. Should have been a red flag, but I just rolled it off. I kind of took it as a compliment. And so the guy comes back. Maybe you know what? I'd actually went and sat with him, started talking because there was two girls. I'm like, oh, he needs help. So I went and sat with him, started talking. Then later he got up and left. Like it didn't go anywhere, but just being able to cold approach, like for someone who hasn't done this before is like a superpower. So just that alone, I was like blown away. And then later on in the group, he came back. I was still talking to him, and he just like he didn't know where to go afterwards, and really turned negative right then. And there's a whole story there, but I don't need to go into it. And so afterwards, went back to the table. We all talked about it, and they said, "Oh, there's this book, The Game. You got to read it." So I ended up getting it from the one guy, the other guy who was the virgin, and I'd read it in 3 days. And I think like on the first night I'd started reading it, I was like, "We got to go out and try this stuff. Like I gotta learn this stuff. This is mind blowing that this is something that you can get better at in your life." Like that just blew my mind. It never clicked in my head that like social skills were something, dating skills, seduction skills, whatever you want to call it, was something that you could get better at. I just always kind of thought some guys had it, some guys didn't. Sometimes I had it, most of the time I didn't. And that's just the way it was. I didn't think this was anything I could actually get better at. So that alone was like mind blowing, life changing. Then when I was reading the book, like there's lots of stuff in there I just didn't like. The routines, they were cheesy, they weren't congruent with me, which that's really what it comes down to is like it's not my stuff. So you feel like a hack, or I feel like a cover band, or I feel like a comedian who's a hack stealing other guy's material. Like I hate that. So I didn't really like any of the stuff in the book. I tried one or two things, and one of them worked really well, but I just didn't like it. It didn't feel honest. So I understood though the structure behind everything, and then I just started making it my own. So that's the secret with the stuff, is it kind of gives you like a Mad Libs if you ever did those, or like an outline, and then you just plug your own stuff kind of in, and then you test it and figure out like your own flow. So, anyways, I read a third of the book, didn't really like any of this stuff, and I was like, well, I didn't hear what the guy said. Let's all go out. We're going to try it. And the guy who had originally read the book, who later became my wing, in my mind, I was like, oh, he's the expert. He knows the most. He's read the book first. I haven't even finished it yet. And he also had some pretty attractive girls. One girl in particular, really, really, really attractive. He had actually got the book and used it to get her back. They had broken up, and he had used it to get her back, and they started dating a while again afterwards. So he's dating like a really, really attractive, like hipster girl, which isn't my style, but she was really, really attractive. So like I got to respect it. And so I was like, okay, well, he knows more. Maybe he was single at the time. Maybe they had just broken up, but I was like, he knows more. So let's go out. I'm gonna let him take the lead. I want to see this. And I thought like all of them read the book and they all have these superpowers now, and everyone's gonna be crushing it. And it wasn't like that. The two virgin guys couldn't do anything yet. The guy who later became my wingman, who was the first one who got the book, who told them not to tell me about it, he was taking the lead. We're like, okay, what are you going to do? He's like, well, I'm going to open with this. I need you guys to come in and social proof me, and I'm going to do this. And we all had like a game plan. We're trying to go around the bar, walking around, trying to open, and we all just chicken out. We all just totally wuss out. Approach anxiety got the best of us. And so we're trying to figure out what we can do. And then we come up with the idea of, if we sit at this table near the bathroom, then as girls go to the bathroom, they have to walk by us. So if they're walking by us, like now we can talk to them a lot easier. It's just such AFC logic. Like instead of going and approaching someone, let's sit by the bathroom. So they have to walk by us. Also, we didn't think more than one step ahead. Like we talked to them as they were going to the bathroom. Would have been smarter to talk to them as they were leaving the bathroom. So some girls ready to like pee her pants, and we're like, hey, real quick, I need a female opinion on something. Like that's not the time to do it. So, anyways, we didn't learn that till later. We realized that during the debrief about how we should improve. And so he ended up he was going to do the C shape versus U shape opener, which is like girl's mouth, the teeth, the shape of it. So he goes up, starts doing it to the girls. I didn't hear this, so I got it secondhand from him afterwards. But he starts saying like, "Oh, you know how society thinks like girls with C-shaped mouths are like more wholesome, and U-shapes like sluttier, and blah blah blah." And I guess the girl's like, "Wait, so are you saying I'm a slut?" And he goes, "No, I'm saying society perceives you as a slut," as if that was any better. And as he's saying this, I'm watching. And so this is another thing with like time distortion. Like he's only over there for like 30 seconds talking to these two girls. And I'm watching it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go wing them. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna back them up, I'm gonna DHV them, all the stuff all PUA'd out. And so it's only like 30 seconds. It feels like 15 minutes, like as I'm watching. So I'm like, all right, man, he needs a wing. I need to go in. So don't give him nearly enough time. Go in and like interrupt, which we figured out later, like wingmanship rules. Him and I really became really tight, good wings after this, and it helped us out so much and how we debriefed every night. So we came up with like all the solutions for this stuff later. But anyways, we didn't know how to do that. So I go in, I go up and pat him on the back, and his POA name is Gypsy. So I'm like, hey guys, how do you know Gypsy? Blah blah blah. And I accomplishment intro him, and it was a cheesy accomplishment intro, which I really didn't like saying, but he wanted it. So he like what he did for work and stuff. He wanted it to like come out, and so I thought it was cheeseball, but that's what he wanted. So he opens a set. He owns a set. I'm like, I got to do what he wants. I'll be a bro, because in that way I can ask him to do something maybe he doesn't necessarily want to do for me. So I'm like, I'm willing to do that. So I go up, slap him on the back, do the accomplishment intro, and it's real weird. And the girls are just looking at us, and then the girls are like, oh wait, do you is this your wingman? Like, did you guys plan this? And he goes, no, no, we didn't. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna throw an egg. So I tell the one girl, I'm like, hey, you have an eye booger right there. And she turns to her friend and she goes, do I? And her friend goes, no. And then she turns and looks at me. So within seconds, he opened, called the girl slut. I come in, I'm a liar. It was just horrible, horrible, horrible night. And seconds later, the third guy comes in, and he comes up and pats my wingman on the back, and he says the exact same thing I said, like the exact same accomplishment intro. And the girls are just like, what's going on? Anyways, they go, hey, we need to go to the bathroom. Can we go over there and go to the bathroom? So, anyways, they end up going over there. Oh, yeah, we're gonna be sitting over this table. We don't even see them leave the bathroom later. So, like, I don't know if they snuck out through the kitchen. We joked that they just hopped out of the window to get away from us because there's like a table full of creepy guys they have to walk by. So horrible, horrible, horrible. We just sit there afterwards. We're like, oh man, that was just brutal. What are we doing? Okay, you can't say the same thing. We got to wait longer. Why'd you come in 5 seconds after me? I was like, oh, I'm never going to nag again. I hate them. Those are the worst things ever. And also, really, the thing is, you don't say stuff like that can instantly be like, hey, is there? No. Like, it's got something in your teeth. Do I? No. Like, that's just dumb. So, anyways, I think we ended up talking to someone else that night, and then we used the opener, the memento box opener, and maybe it was the same girls. But anyways, he because I didn't do it, so it's like I'm going off of what the other guy did. And he ends up telling him about the friend, and then the girl's like, wait, is this real, or is this like a pickup line? And he instantly goes into qualification. No, no, it's real. It's our friend so and so. Hey, Bravo, you got my name wasn't Bravo yet at the time. Hey, you know the friend. And we're just instantly like qualifying and trying to prove ourselves. And it was just horrible, horrible. I'm almost cringing a little just thinking about it. And the then later we're doing like he was gonna do palm reading, tarot and stuff. So he's like, oh hey, I'm gonna be over this table if you want to get your palm read or do a tarot reading or something afterwards. And the girl looks and she's like, oh, that's a dark corner. I don't want to go back there, which is a huge thing, like her telling us that she's not comfortable with that. And he's like, oh well, I'll be sitting over there then. And then never came back by. So, anyways, that was our first night. Horrible, horrible crash and burn. Afterwards turns into a hilarious story. It's cringe, it's painful. But when you're with your friends telling the story, not just in your room by yourself, reliving it, It's hilarious. And every time we tell the story on stage, all the students would laugh. And most guys have never had anything that bad happen to them. Like it's not even that bad because at least we tried. What was bad is that was our first night out. And maybe I'm slightly mixing up because our first and second night out with the two sets because we ended up going back to the same place. But anyways, we went out. There's four of us. I was originally going to work with the guy who told me about the book and help him, and my wingman was going to help the other guy, the angry virgin guy, and we were both going to try to help them lose their V cards. And I was like, good, I'm going to work with this guy because I like that guy better. Well, anyways, we went out one night. All four of us were there. The angry virgin guy didn't even talk to anyone, didn't even come into accomplishment intro, didn't do anything. And the next time we tried to go out, he quit. And so there was the three of us. And then we tried to go out a few times, and then we tried to get the other guy, the other virgin, to do stuff. He never did anything. He quit shortly thereafter. So very quickly, it was just the two of us left. So even though I didn't really like the guy, like he was committed, there was willingness there. I was willing. So we started going out and practicing it together. And I really think us not really liking each other at the beginning, like really helped us help things out because now there was like rivalry. There was a friendly rivalry, but like we were competitive with each other. I'd be like, oh, what's your goal tonight? Every time we would go out, we'd have a different goal, which really is really important. Not just I'm going to go open 10 sets tonight, but like I'm going to try to do this tonight. I'm going to try to do this specific thing tonight. Having a specific goal, because having a different goal means there's a different roadmap to get there. So you practice different things. But anyways, when we were first starting out, we were just opening. I would go, oh, well, how many sets are you going to open tonight? And he goes, oh, I'm going to open 10. And I was like, okay, I'm going to open 11 and I'm going now. Because we would do it too, where whoever went, he couldn't go again until the other guy went. So I was like, well, let's just get it over with. I also learned pretty quickly because whoever opens the set owns the set. Whoever breaks the ice, whoever has the balls to go approach, like they're the one who goes for it, like gets the shot. I don't get to go ride his coattails and then try to steal the girl that he had the balls and the confidence to go and talk to first. So that's basic wingmanship, like 101. But anyways, I remember there was once he opened a set, and then I don't even like using the term sets. I'm going back to how we used to debrief, but basically he went and just talked to some people, just talked to a group of girls, a couple girls, and there was one of them I was really, really into in that group. And he ended up getting her phone number, and then it didn't go anywhere. And so afterwards, I remember how that really irritated me because I go, like, man, if I would have got that girl's number, I totally would have gone for it. But he was the one who opened first, so he got to call the shots for that. And so after that, I was like, oh, you know what? Like if I don't go and start the conversation first and go and break the ice and go and approach first, if I don't do it, he might do it. And then I don't have a say in the matter. So I remember thinking, or when I realized that, I was like, oh, you know what? I better go first. Like when I see a girl that I think's really attractive, I better go first. Because if I don't, he might, and then he might get dibs, right? And that's just how it is in life. Like if I don't go and I've done that to guys. I've done that. That's actually when we ran into some other PUAs out in field. Only happened a couple times. Maybe I'll tell that on another video. But there was a girl that I saw, and I went up and talked to her. And as that was going on, my wingman with some other guys, they were over on the side. Oh, we were just getting ready to go talk to her. They found out they were all PUAs and on this local PUA forum at that time. But they were waiting. The one guy was trying to build his buddy up. Well, as they were doing that, I went in. And that's how life is. If you don't strike while the iron's hot, if you don't take that opportunity, what's in front of you, you can miss out. Just some other random guy could swoop in. So that really, really helped. And like I said, then I read the game in 3 days. I went back, read the rest of it. I thought it was a great book, a great story. Later on, when I moved out to Hollywood and started working for him, and then I started getting to know all the guys, most of the guys in the book, and I started hearing behind the scenes stuff. It kind of changed my opinion on the book a bit. I remember one guy wrote something once where he's like, the alternate title of the book was "Everyone Sucks But Me," and I remember thinking that was like so funny because that's kind of what happens in the book. Oh, I ended up leaving the game. I did this, and everyone else is still down there. But I get that's what you do when it's a book, and just because the book looks like a Bible, you shouldn't treat it like a Bible. But the other thing is, like, no one knew this thing was going to turn into all this stuff. Like, no one knew it was going to turn into this whole industry. So, anyways, I had read the book. I feel like so many guys out there, the old school guys, they were like doing it. They didn't have anyone else helping them. They figured out some things on their own. which is really cool that they did that. But really, like, I was one of the guys who read the game and then went out and started doing it, got good at it, and then later started teaching the stuff. And tons of guys tried to do that. I can't really think, besides one or two guys out there that I know that coach. I don't really think there's anyone else out there who made that happen. Tons of guys tried to do it, but I ended up like I was in your guys' shoes. I was reading this, read the book. I was getting online looking for forums back then. First off, I didn't even look up forums. I thought it was a secret society. I would never find out about it. Not realizing I could just Google it. So once I found that out, I was like, oh, I'm going to Google it. I got on the forum, started researching stuff, started torrenting stuff, and just having gigs and gigs and gigs of material, which I never watched any of it, never read any of it. Such a waste. Read a little, go out in field, practice it. That's the secret. But I went from reading it from AFC land, reading the book, practicing the stuff, improving my life, having an amazing dating life, which always was like a goal of trying to meet like an amazing woman I could date, and then hopefully see where that goes. And met Neil, got offered a job, moved out to LA, Hollywood, started teaching the stuff, worked out there for a few years for him, and went from like junior coach to like coach to senior or to executive coach, where I was in charge of all the other coaches and the conferences and stuff and everything that we did. And then when he was writing rules of the game, I was in that book. And so my Facebook stalker opener, which actually I like better as a DHV routine, but originally it was the MySpace stalker opener. That happened shortly after reading the game, where the girl copied my name off my credit card and looked me up on MySpace and then messaged me. So the story I could share another time too. But I ended up reading the book, getting good at the stuff, to having the stuff that happened to me be in his next book. And then I proofread the book, and when he's getting ready to release it, he sent me like, I think I still have the manuscript somewhere, and like went over it and helped him with some stuff, and then thanked in the back, which is still like mind blowing to me that I went from that to that in a pretty short time. So I always tell guys, like, if I can do this, if I can get good at this stuff, like any of you guys can. You guys are smarter than me. I'm not that anything special, but like putting in the work and getting out and stepping out of your comfort zone. If you do it, I mean, I think there's tons of guys out there that would be way better at this stuff than I ever got. And when I was with that old company, like when they would need someone to be on hidden camera for like a TV show, or Canal Plus came out and was doing like a documentary and stuff, like I was the guy that did that. And then they would like interview me because of my tactical background, because I was married and stuff. So like I was the guy that would perform on camera and stuff. So to go from the guy who wanted his wingman and the other guys to go and talk to girls first, sitting next to the bathroom because we were too scared to approach, talking to girls as they were going to the bathroom, and then probably snuck out the window. Yeah, to go there to where I went, and then starting my own company, and a big part of that was I just felt like pickup. So you go to I do martial arts, tactical training. That's like my main background. And a big problem I always had with that is it's like people go to like a self defense seminar, and they really don't learn anything. They don't really learn how to do a move, how to hurt someone, how to defend themselves. But they get like a belief that they can, and they show them a couple moves, and the moves aren't that good, but it's better than what they had already. So they leave better, but also a lot of it's like false sense of security isn't really going to work. And I remember thinking, like, back in the day, I hated those kind of seminars. I was like, how about you go to a seminar where you actually train, and then you actually get better, and when you leave, you're tougher and stronger and actually have a couple moves, not 30 moves you can't do, like 2 or 3 you can do. And then you keep training and have continuous training and get better. So I was always coming from that perspective. So when I got into pickup, there was a lot of guys teaching men how to be men who weren't qualified to teach it, because they weren't strong, squared away, high value, high leveled up men. There were guys who were like very good in a specific area, like pickup, or a specific type of it, like, oh, I'm a swinger and I have open relationships and all that. But like that's not what I wanted to do. I grew up pretty religious and got out of it for a bit, but I'm still like I'm still Catholic Christian, like that's still in me. And I didn't want to share my wife or my girl with someone. Like that's just goes against all everything I believe. and feel. So like I wouldn't go to those guys for it for other advice, but then they would teach and I would like hear them. There was like a good nugget here or there that I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's something I hadn't thought of, or that would be helpful. But there weren't guys that were teaching like more stuff than just that. And some guys tried to do it and it was good, but it just felt like repackaged self-help. Like they went to a seminar or two and they like took some notes and then tried to inject it. Or they went to some weird, I remember one of our coaches, one of the old company's coaches, went to like laugh therapy and had all the students like laughing and just practice laughing out loud. And oh, that gets you in a different state. And I remember I'm teaching, and then I hear him because we broke off into like little breakout rooms, and he's doing like a laughing meditation section, and they're all laughing. And I'm just hearing it, and I'm like, people paid money to come here to like sit around in a circle and laugh. Like that just sounds so silly to me. So that's why when I went solo, I was like, well, let's just a real man's guide to pick up dating in life was the original tagline, because pick up, get you some fun, get you out there talking to girls, and then after you do that, you can start dating, and then once you do that, like and find someone you really connect with, then it's about life afterwards. So it's like a nice 3 count for that. And where's the other guys were just like, here's how you pick up girls, and even some of the coaches on stage like telling stories that like uh, someone specifically talking about how he had his buddy like park his car and block the girl's car in and then leave so that girl couldn't leave. And she was stuck at the guy's house. He's, oh, I'm calling him. He's not answering. Sorry. And he was doing that so the girl would have to be stuck there so he could hook up with her. And I remember when he was telling that story, like there's a video of it. And like I turn and look because there was a girl that was there that had just found out about the stuff. She thought it was neat. And she's hearing this story and she's like the look of shock and disgust on her face when he's telling the story. So I looked at her and then I was like laughing because I was like, oh, she's like horrified by this stuff because like rightfully so. And I was like, oh, like brutal. And so I remember hearing that and I was like, oh man, that's not cool. That's not stuff I'd want to do or teach or have someone do to someone I care about, one of my friends. So, anyways, I tell guys that kind of stuff because even though the book, the game looks like the Bible, don't treat it like one. And also realize it's a story. So there's a lot of embellishment or it says at the beginning, things have been changed, right? So just keep that in mind. But the fact that this is something you can get better at, the fact that there's kind of like a structure to how this stuff works, mind blowing, life changing. So all credit where credit's due. And if you think about it too, I talked before about the triangular theory of love. That's like real science backs that up and you can look it up. But that's a real simple way of thinking about it, like passion, intimacy, commitment. Well, when you first meet someone, you can't really be intimate with them. You can't really go deep with them. Sometimes you do. And then a lot of times if you do it, you friend zone yourself. You can't really start with commitment because you're committed to each other unless it's like an arranged marriage. You can't really start off with commitment. So it needs to be started with passion. And what most guys don't understand is that passion is like emotional. And for us as guys, it's real simple. Look at a girl, oh my God, she's really hot. Boom, there's passion. Once you get older, once you have more experience, the looks, that's only one piece of the puzzle. So a homework assignment I'm working on right now with some guys with coaching is like, well, what else? Like, okay, there's 20 attractive women. They're all into you and they're all like equally attractive. Like whatever you're into, they're all that type, that archetype. So there's 3 that are like, oh my God, she's super hot. She's like a 10, she's a 10, she's a 10. And I'm like, okay, well, after the looks, like then what do you care about? And so most guys don't even think about that kind of stuff. They don't go deeper. So passion, when you're thinking about it, when you're trying to hit on a girl and trying to flirt and trying to give her an opportunity to realize how awesome you are, it's your job to elicit that and get her feeling that. And it's super simple if you just automatically exude it and you don't have to think about it and she just picks up on it just like women do to us. They don't think about it. Like they just get up and do their hair and look pretty and wear cute clothes. They didn't do it for me. They did it because that's what they want to do. And so they just automatically, naturally do that. And so another thing is girls put in all that effort and then guys don't put any effort in how they look or how they smell or anything, and then think some hot girl is going to like dig them. So if a girl cares about something this much, it's okay for you to care about it that much. So thinking about what else can I do to get that passion, that fire of passion burning? And that's once that started clicking, which a lot of pickup is like teaching you routines that do that, but not explaining why the routine does it, not helping you figure out your own routines, or not helping you figure out that, oh, I can't build my own routine for that because I'm not that guy yet. So how do you level up to become that guy to where then you can have that kind of stuff to talk about? And I don't even want to call it a routine because it's not a routine. It's just me being me, and then that stuff just naturally comes out. So that was the big thing, I think, when I saw the pickup is kind of like, here's what we do, here's some cut and paste stuff, do it and get better, and here's some information about why that works, but not like how do you make yourself better, level up, and then also convey yourself in a cool way that gets that passion fire going. When you start doing that, the dating world gets really, really, really fun. So almost too much. And then it becomes overwhelming. And then you're like a hot girl now who gets all these matches and you don't have time for all of it, which is a crazy place to be. I never thought I'd be there. So then you can be picky. So a lot of the guys, that angry virgin I was talking about, and some of those other guys, they're the pickiest guys ever and they have no choice. So you can be picky when you have choice. So getting to the point where you can be picky about who you date, who you build a connection with, who you build a life with. That's really the goal of this stuff. So if you guys want help doing that, obviously I'm a coach. I'm here to help you with it. If you have questions, ask it. But all those funny things, all those crazy things, those crash and burns. Last time I had approach anxiety, there's a blog post about that. Like all of that is what got me here. So even though at the time a lot of that sucked, I wouldn't change anything. And it got me to where I am now and the family that I have now. And it's what makes us. And then they become funny stories. So you either learn something or it turns into a funny story. So when you have that mindset, it makes it a lot easier. And the last thing that's crazy is I actually miss a lot of that stuff. Like when I was really teaching this full time, doing boot camps, working for that company out in Hollywood, going out on hidden camera every week, getting video, like I actually missed the excitement of the unknown when I would go out and not know where it's going to go that night. Oh, am I going to have a crash and burn? Is it going to be this? Like it just got to the point where I just went out and I'm just me being me. And I knew some magic was going to happen with someone, at least one woman. And it happened lots of times on video. So I got to the point where I missed that, like that nervousness and the unknown. And it actually sucked. Like I got so good at it that it wasn't as enjoyable anymore, which is a crazy, crazy place to be. And it's weird because you don't ever like people, oh, I'd love to have that problem. Yeah, you would until you get there. And then you're like, oh, now it's too easy. And then it becomes hard actually finding someone you really connect with, which is then what happened. And I had to shift gears again and then take it to a different level in a different zone. So, which again, we can talk about it on other calls. If people ask questions, I'm happy to discuss it. But on this, read the game, crashed and burned horribly. Guys quit. It was just two of us left, which helped. It helped having a wing. But I'll also tell you just real quick is very quickly it turned into I learned like, oh, a wing is a crutch. And if I'm out at the mall or I'm at work or just day to day life and my wing's not with me, what am I going to do if I see a really attractive girl that I want to hit on? So very quickly I realized, oh, a wing's a crutch and I shouldn't really rely on it. So what I would do is I would wing him. And then when we'd go out at a place, we'd separate and I would go do my thing. And we had little routines where he'd come by or I'd come by and we'd check on each other. And I usually was like, oh, yeah, I'm good. Unless there was a couple girls. Usually it's like if it's like one girl, it's brutal. But if there's two or three, it starts getting easier the more people there are because they occupy each other. But if I was like one girl or like two other girls that were friends and I wanted a little private time and needed someone to help talk to them, then that's where the wing came in. But day-to-day life, that's not usually how it goes. Like they're usually by themselves too at the grocery store or something. So I realized magic tricks, wing, routines, all that stuff, situational, like where it had to be in this bar, this one routine, I could do it this one place because this one thing's over there. Like those were all crutches, and I needed to get to the point where I could just flow. And so then that was the next stage. And once that started happening, amazing. So, anyways, hope that helped, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this. These stories aren't just for me to like, oh, brag or reminisce, but like I get messages from you guys. So I know I've just got a couple signups too, and some guys reaching out for coaching. So like I know you guys are watching them. They're not getting tons of views right now, but the guys who do watch this, I know you guys reach out and are appreciate it. Just realize that these stories have lessons in them, and hopefully they inspire. Because like I said, if it worked for me, it can work for any of you guys. So I'm here if you need me. Have a good weekend. I'm probably going to be dark the next. I got my calendar over there. I don't know if I can see it. Yeah, next weekend I got a one-on-one. Next weekend I'm out training. I think I got a weekend off, so I'll probably be doing one then, and then another one. The next weekend I got another one-on-one, and it looks like I'm basically almost booked out till March now already for the year. So if anyone's wanting to do one training, reach out. Sooner the better. All right. Later, guys.